The Waycross City Commission Planning and Information Session is now called to order. At this time, we stand with our invocation. Today, March 17th, our devotional was God Alone. My soul waits in silence for God only. From Him is my salvation. Psalm 62:1. So as God has spoken through these words, there's a note that says, my hope is in Christ because only He can save. At this time we pray. Father, we bless you and thank you for this opportunity to come before your presence. We ask that you bless each soul that has arrived here. May we all hear your voice in all that we do and say. And may we be guided, guarded, and may we be governed by your spirit and your presence. We love you, we thank you, and we praise you. It is in Christ Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we look to our city's clerk. Madam Clerk, do we have any guests tonight?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have two. The first guest is Ms. Sharon Fulford. Ms. Sharon, if you'll come and take the podium, please. Ms. Sharon, and state your name and address for the record. Ms. Sharon is here to speak on District 4, the vacancy.
Good evening.
Good
My name
evening.
is Sharon Vickers-Fulford. I am in District 5, and I live at 403 Preston Street, Waycross. Although I live in District 5 in Waycross, I came here to comment on the seat vacated by Ms. Hopkins. I didn't know y'all were gonna be here, sorry. So in District 5, we went months without any representation because of legal issues. Now we have a case in District 4 with the passing of Ms. Hopkins where you were able to have a meeting and make a determination on when a special election could be held to replace her. And the commissioners voted to hold off on her replacement until November. That's a long time for that group to be unrepresented. And I'm disappointed in the action of the commissioners and don't understand why you possibly would leave that spot vacant until November when you had the opportunity to hold an election and replace that position. Hard to replace with the passing of Mrs. Hopkins, but that district deserved an opportunity to have an election in June rather than holding off almost, 6 months, I guess, or more. So I'm disappointed in the actions of the commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk?
Yes, we have Mr. Mark Hopkins. Ms. Hopkins, if you'll step to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Mr. Hopkins is here speaking on the dedication ceremony that was held.
My name is Mark Hopkins. I live at 101 Plantation Drive in District 4. I'm the son of late Commissioner Diane Hopkins, and on behalf of my family and I want to express our disappointment and frustration after learning via a Facebook post there was a dedication ceremony for the new gazebo in Monroe Park in honor of my late mother. The decision to honor my mother is appreciated, but we are incredibly hurt and angry that we were not given the opportunity to attend and be a part of this event. No one reached out to us, not a single phone call, no attempt to inform us that a public dedication to my mother's memory was happening. The event was advertised by the city's Facebook page as a ribbon cutting and meet and greet for potential candidates for my mother's seat. The city can remember to host a meet and greet for potential candidates for an election you cannot even qualify for yet, but cannot remember to inform anyone that it was also going to be a dedication ceremony for my mother. None of the city's Facebook posts about this event said anything regarding that. It's hard not to feel that the omission of our family from this ceremony was not just an oversight. While I hope that some people's personal feelings towards my mother did not play a part in this, it's hard not to feel that way. Management has responded saying they will own the mistake and there will be more services to honor my late mother in the future. And while we appreciate the intention behind these future events, let me make one thing clear. My mother is gone, and there will be no new achievements from her that we are able to celebrate. We want every possible opportunity to honor my mother, but the fact that there may be more chance in the future does not make up for the hurt that was caused by missing this one. It does not undo the pain of being excluded from any event that is meant to honor her life and legacy. You may have forgotten to contact our family about this ceremony, but you didn't forget to remove her photo from the city website just days after she passed. You did not forget to remove her photos from the city chambers just days after she passed, but somehow reaching out to ensure that her family even knew this was happening slipped through the cracks. We also know that the plaque was ordered multiple days before this event took place, giving anyone ample opportunity to reach out to my father, my sister, or myself to let us know that it was even happening. I want you all to imagine how it would feel if this was your family member. How would you feel to still be grieving a loss and left out of something honoring them due to an oversight? I sure hope the city does not overlook things like this when it comes to actual matters that are important to the city and affects its citizens, and that going forward, anyone involved in such things will pay these matters the attention and respect they truly deserve.
Thank you.
At this time, Madam Clerk, do we have any further guests?
No, sir, we don't.
Okay. We thank our guests for their presentations. At this time, we look to our city's manager for our travel and training schedule.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This time we're moving to the information session. We have no travel and training scheduled at this time. We're moving to the planning information session bids, starting with Ms. Jackson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Purchasing has two items on the agenda. The first one is for the renovation of the Alice Street warehouse. For those of you that don't know, there was a heavy rain, not the Helene storm, but there was a heavy rain a month or so after that, and downtown flooded. One of those buildings that flooded was the warehouse. We have since had that building remediated. They've come in and gutted it and cleaned the mold and bacteria that were growing. And we sent out a bid to have that building renovated, the 3 offices in the building renovated. We put out a bid. We received 2 bids, one from B. James Construction of Blackshear, Georgia, and one from Tyco Construction of Blackshear, Georgia. After review of both bids, the lowest and best bid came in from B. James Construction, and that bid was $45,000. And we are asking the commission allow us to move forward with awarding this bid.
Okay. So we need consent. I'll start with District 1.
Yes, sir.
District 2.
Yes, sir.
District 3.
I have a question, Mayor.
Go right ahead.
Who was the other bidder?
Tyco Construction.
Tyco. And what was their bid?
I'm sorry, their bid was $143,000.
And the other company, you said 45,000?
Yes. I'm about to say it wrong, I'm sorry. B. James Construction of Blackshear, their bid was $45,000, and Tyco Construction Industrial, their bid was $143,700.
That's a big difference.
Yes, ma'am.
So even though there's a difference in terms of the bidding, what made B. Jane Construction, other than it was the lowest and oftentimes the best bid, that was thrown into consideration for this? Just because, because it was a lower bid? Is that what made it a better bid?
It was the lower bid. It was it was a little more than what we originally estimated the cost would be for the renovation. And the other thing was, we had a pre-bid meeting which allowed any contractor that wanted to bid on this project to actually come in and walk the building, physically take measurements, ask questions to myself and the warehouse coordinator that's actually housed over there, anything that they needed while they were there. So they all had the same level playing field when they were there.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Is there consent from 3
Yes.
and 5?
Mr. Mayor, I'm looking at the sheets that you sent out on Friday. It appears that the materials are about the same, but the only difference was the labor costs, really. That's the biggest difference. They're up here on labor, and they're down here. So I'm assuming that's the big difference in the two.
That was, and we originally did not ask them for a cost breakdown. I did ask them for a cost breakdown later. I do have a copy of that if y'all would like to review it.
Okay. No, thank you.
In District 5, did you give consent?
Yes.
Okay. You have 4 consenting.
The next item is the Colley Street property. As you all know, there was an offer that came in on the Colley Street property, and the commission accepted the offer on the condition that the buyer complete the removal of the asbestos in the building within 12 months of the closing, and he has agreed to that.
Okay.
And the offer is still $175. He made the full offer of $175 on that property. And we're asking if the commission would approve with the condition that was added. He accepted the condition. We're asking if the commission would approve us to move forward with this purchase. I'm sorry, with this sale.
Okay. We'll start with District 1.
I do have a question.
Yes, District.
Do we know what it's gonna build? What's gonna be built on that property?
That I do not know. I was informed, I did not speak to him personally, but I was informed that it will be residential. Because it is actually, I think he's gonna actually request that it be turned to residential or zoned residential, so that he can build housing on that property.
Thank you.
Okay. And Commissioner, did you want to consent, or how do you feel about this?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. And District 2?
Yes, sir.
District 3?
I have a question.
Go right ahead.
Who's the buyer?
Mr. William Gross.
And you said that he's requesting for the zoning to be changed to residential?
I believe he will, because at the current moment, I don't believe it's zoned residential, it's zoned C1.
Is that what the public hearing is for tomorrow? For this particular property to be requesting to be rezoned?
I don't know, I don't have knowledge of the public hearing for tomorrow.
Mr. City Manager?
It is not.
Public hearing tomorrow will be dealing with zoning ordinance for the city of Waycross.
And you stated that he agreed to clean out the asbestos
Within 1 year of closing.
within 1 year of closing. Thank you.
Okay, will you consent?
I have another follow-up question. If-
Okay.
So if he doesn't meet that deadline,
Then the sale will be null and void.
thank you.
Okay, and the last time we had this conversation, we all consented. We just needed to have the
The
other
condition added.
condition added to it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so basically, we're just saying, we're consenting that he will go forward once he has done what he said he was gonna do regarding the asbestos.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And District 5,
Yes, sir.
okay, thank you.
And We actually have one other item, but with the city manager's permission, I would ask that it be spoken of in executive session because it is another property.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Mr. Mayor, before we move into the discussion items, I'd like to request permission to move one of the topics up. I think that Baysmore Park and Way Green representatives are here. If they could immediately follow the Coastal Pine Technical College presentation,
Okay.
just for purpose of getting them out of here. We do have a lengthy agenda and didn't want them to stay the whole time. This was our error in having them so far down.
Okay.
So we can make that change.
That's fine with me.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And then we'll go ahead and start. Is the Coastal Pine? I don't see it. Okay.
That'll be tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Mayor, we'll go ahead and move in with the Baysmore Park and Way Green discussion. Ladies, if you will.
Thank you.
Wait till you get the slides so people,
Well, the
obviously.
slides are in the wrong order.
No, he'll get it fixed, but let him get it fixed so people that's watching can
Okay.
kind of understand what's going on as well.
Let me introduce myself. I'm Connie Oliver. I am the founder and executive director of Way Green Incorporated. We are a local 501c3 nonprofit, and our focus and mission is to facilitate access to local, fresh, healthy food throughout the community. And I'm here tonight to just talk to you about Baysmore Park and what we're doing over there with the commissioner and what our plans are. We just want to really let you know who we are and what we're doing there and what our plans are for the future and how we think that we can benefit the community and as we are already benefited in the community. And Susan Clark is with me tonight, the Where Children's Initiative. She is executive director there, and she is one of our partners. So we've come to just let you know what we're doing there and hopefully to partner with you for future events there. We're still trying. I want to give you a little bit of background on Way Green. We are a 501c3. We started our 501c3 in 2019. We have been a organization loosely from since 2014. And then in 2015, we had our first event, which is now continues to go on at the Okefenokee Heritage Center. It's the local fair market, and that is a farmer's market that we have once a month. So this year celebrates 10 years of that being there at the Heritage Center. So, again, we have our whole purpose is to make local food more accessible to those who really need it. So in 2019, we were approached by Georgia Organics that we were already partnering with. This is a statewide organization which also has this basically the same mission and goals. So at that time, a grant was applied for what they were calling the Family Farm Share Program. It was a pilot program in Waycross. And so at that time, we partnered with Action Pack, where I can never say it. Ware County, thank you, Ware Children's Initiative, and Georgia Organics, and they applied for the grant. We won the grant in 2022 for $75,000. So we began the program, which you have a brochure on that. And what it is families of action-packed schools, both here in Ware County and in other counties, but we only started in Ware County, were allowed to purchase a weekly share of fresh local food. This food was gotten from our local farmers and producers, and so every week these families of children that at first the children of families 0 to 8 years were targeted. That has changed a little bit over the 3 years that we've been doing it, but they were targeted at the action-packed schools, Head Start, and so every week they get a share of local fresh food, fruits and vegetables, and it's delivered to the school and they take it home in the afternoon. They pay $5 for the bag and they get $25 worth of food. We have since raised that, and now they're getting $30 worth of food for $5, and that's what the grant takes care of. So in the process of that, we're currently at 60 shares a week, but we're only using about 7 providers. So in the process, Georgia Organics came to us and said, you know, we want to get this up to 100 shares a week, and we certainly do too, to help these families. Let me also tell you that SNAP EBT families are actually given these bags for free. Someone has come forward to pay their part of the bag. So this year our goal was 100 bags, but again, we don't have enough farmers to grow the food to provide this fresh fruits and vegetables. So we approached Georgia Organics, Way Green approached Georgia Organics and said, because we were already gardening over at Bazemore Park, we had taken that over in 2000, I'm not sure, 22 I think. We were already gardening over there, and we asked Georgia Organics if they would designate that as one of our farms. They agreed. And so we really started growing more things there. And so now, besides the beds that are inside the fence, we've gone to outside the fenced-in area, and we're now growing food outside the fenced-in area. I think last week, Justin Hall is the steward of that place, and so last week I know he planted 100 pounds of potatoes. We've put in green beans, and we'll be putting in squash and tomatoes later. We met with Commissioner Nelson, and he was so kind to meet us over there and have the discussion about that park. And I'm going to ask Susan to talk about some of the funding that could be made available to be applied to that park. And then I'll just talk about maybe some of the vision that we have for that area and for other areas like that in the community.
As Connie said, I'm Susan Haddock. I'm the director of the Ware Children's Initiative, and it's the Family Connection Partnership for Ware County. So to know that we're a network from every county within the state, that we all work together, but within that we meet the needs here within our community. We go strictly off the needs that are expressed and needs that come up as far as statistics, and that's what we concentrate on to do here in our county. We know that food insecurity and food access is a very big deal here in our community. We have been awarded a grant up to $15,000 for this first year to be able to go in and to increase food access here specifically in our community. With that, there's a lot that goes into food access. We know that there are a lot of different reasons why people do and don't have food access, and sometimes it's money, sometimes it's that financial aspect of it, sometimes it's transportation, sometimes it's not knowing what to do with food if they have it. And so a matter of, yes, they could get something that's in a can and a ready-made meal that they could fix, but they don't necessarily know how to cook or prepare or to preserve items that are fresh and healthy to be able to have long term. So with that, we want to address a lot of that in little ways. But because of some of the issues that we have going on here, to be able to offer fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, to be able to teach people how to use them, how to cook with them, ways that they can prepare them, because we all know that. As we started cooking, we came home with something from the grocery store and thought, I'm going to do a lot with this, and then you figured out you weren't sure what to do with it, or whatever way you cooked it was not the way that it was really best. And so to turn around to be able to give people that information and to be able to give them the food at the same time so that all of this comes together. Plus to be able to go in and teach them how to do preservation on food, canning, freezing, that kind of thing to prepare it so that they're able to have access to this local healthy food, but be able to continue it out through the season and not just be restricted to the couple of weeks that it's ripe. So with that, a huge partnership will be with Way Green and with Basemar Park, because as they're able to increase what they're planting there, we're able to be able to partner with them to bring access. We'd have this space out there to actually be able to do cooking classes, preservation classes, bring people out there to say, this is what you do with the food, and have different ways that kids can come out there and say, let's try this with some cheese, let's try this with some salt, let's try to put some garlic on it, and have all these ways for people in our community to, one, just have access to the food, but two, to know what to do with it when they get home, to know what to look for in the grocery store, know what to look for, what they can get in a farmer's market, what's available here locally. But every single one of those means that the people in our community get fresh food, they get healthy food, and they get enough food, which is something that some of our families are struggling. While we are the We're Children's Initiative, our goal is to help anybody. It's families. It is not an 18 and under program. That is not where our concentration is. We serve the families here in Ware County. And so with that, our program with food access will be that way too. It will not be limited to kids and food access. It will be all age ranges, and we know that, like I said, there are programs available right now for kids to be able to do like summer lunch programs, things like that. Those types of programs are not always available for the senior citizens in our community. So that's one of the things that they will address is all ages, how we increase food access. But again, a big part of that partnership is what Way Green is doing, because they're the only organization in our town being able to provide fresh food like this to the community. So we'd like to be able to extend this partnership through the work at Basemar Park.
If I can jump in, ladies, just in lieu of time, and this is a very important subject, and we're trying to squeeze a lot in right now, and we really want the commission to get it. The mayor does have a separate meeting that we're going to start back up, and y'all used to attend. We'll make sure to live stream that, and we need to have the slides up so everybody can truly appreciate what you're trying to do. I think the commission already has bought into this before, so we can. I don't want to try to throw too much in there. We will make sure that at your next meeting, Mr. Mayor, with the Faith Outreach Group, that we'll bring them up, we'll live stream that, and then we'll bring them back before the commission, the next meeting, to let you have a vote on what they're really asking for, because a lot was just said right now, and it's different things they're discussing. I don't want any confusion on what they will be requesting on tonight, if that makes sense.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next, Mr. Mayor, we will be moving into a Tyler update. And I want to say the business integration director, Mr. Simmons, is gonna do that.
Mayor, Commissioner, I just wanted to report that phase 1 of the Tyler update is complete. And although this is a screen of what the new system looks like, it's all internal right now. So staff are currently entering requisitions and creating accounts in that system. And I have to give a kudos to finance. Mara and Greg and Mercedes and Haley have really jumped in, providing training to staff, being that resource. So the public hadn't seen anything yet. They won't notice the change, but for staff it's much easier, because like I said, it's web-based, so I mean, no matter where we are, if you need to enter a requisition on the fly or approve one for a special purchase, you can do that now anywhere, as long as you have your username and password. Before, you had to be on the city's network to do that, so it allows a lot more flexibility in the work. Also, it's up to date. If you could see our old system, you could see the difference in the look of it, the feel of it. The next phase will be utility billing, and we'll start that probably in the next couple of weeks, getting that, and that's when the customers will really see the major impact. They'll be able to go in and create their own accounts, and see their water usage, pay the water bills, connect service, disconnect service. So it'll really be a major undertaking to get the community up to date on that. And then we'll start with some of the smaller things like business license. Jackie and myself had a roundtable with some of the business owners last week to get some of their input, so we can start building those suggestions into the new interface. And then next we'll roll out community improvement. Just kind of want to give you an update on how that was looking, and really appreciate again the finance staff to let them know that the hard work they put into making that work for everybody else.
Thank you, Director Simmons. Next, Mr. Mayor, we're going to move into the street and parks update. And I'll do this. We do have our engineering program team here for additional questions on this matter. This is a quick update. We have been providing the commission and the public daily updates of what's going on with the streets and the parks and the dirt roads. So with that saying, Mr. Mayor, at this time, Georgia Street is complete. All the other dirt streets, dirt roads, they're doing what we call a build out. That's what we try to figure out the elevation and grading to ensure, because they will not have utilities in there, that when we do pave those roads, the water drains a certain way. I think they're about 2 weeks from completing that, and once they get that done, you'll see those dirt roads get paved over. But as I said, Georgia Street is complete, and I'll pause there for any questions or comments on the dirt roads portion of this.
Commissioners, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask our commissioners or our city manager.
Specifically for dirt roads?
Dirt roads is what he's talking about at this point.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This time we're moving to the streets, and these are the, when I say streets, these are the streets that have already been paved, and we're doing resurfacing and utilities that includes drainage and plumbing. Right now, you see those streets are complete. Obernell is complete. Pelmato is complete. Solomon is complete. Up to the city's portion of that road. I know there's been some discussion with the general public over social media and called into us. Some of these streets do go into the county or borderline the county, and we're only doing our portion of the street. That's all we can do legally. So although that street might ride on through the county, we can only go up to the portion of the city right away, if that makes sense for everybody. The rest of the streets are in certain phases. Right now, I got to check Gallatin Heights. That's the street that runs directly down the center of Gallatin. We had some issues with the cars there. So they had tried to start paving, but I'll make sure this week to kind of put that out again. They got to move those cars so we can get the pavement done, that area and location. Gilmore Avenue, we're still in water services. That means utilities. Same thing with Nickel Street, utilities. We have not started Brunel Street, Parkway Drive, Washington Avenue, or Kentucky Avenue. So, and once again, this is one company doing these things, so they are moving across all the streets. I do not know the anticipated date of completion. We did have some weather delays, as you know, those storms came in. Hopefully, and we'll get an update sometime this week on when they might possibly be done with all the streets. So, and I'll pause if any question on the paved streets that are being resurfaced and the utilities being replaced within those streets.
Okay, I'll start with District 1. Did you have any questions of the city manager?
No, sir.
District 2?
No, sir.
District 3?
Yes. Not regarding the streets that are mentioned, but Carswell, that's a street that you and I discussed a while back. And recently, in the past year, the flooding issue was repaired, but you stated that there were some other issues that needed to be resolved with Carswell Avenue. Can you provide me an update with that, please?
I cannot at this time, Commissioner, right now focus on these streets. What we'll do, we'll go back. We got an overall plan for the drainage. As I mentioned before, I'm working with the Corps engineers. That's part of that assessment. Once everybody does their assessments, we'll come back to that. Right now, we focus on these set of streets because that's the ones we're paying for right now. Once the Corps engineers comes through and kind of gives me some feedback on what they can do or what they can't do, then I have a better understanding of what we can do for drainage. And drainage means a lot of things right now. We're kind of looking at, because everything is an issue here and all the systems are failing, versus us, we've been doing in the past, kind of jump around when emergencies make us jump around. We're going to start at some designated point within the city, older part of the city, and work our way across the city towards the river. So, but like I said, right now, I don't know how that looks because I have not got the details of my engineering group as well as those individuals that's coming to help us out. Once I get all that, I'll come back to the commission body and we'll discuss overall draining strategies.
And District 5?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next, we're moving to the parks. As you all know, each commissioner who had a designated park, they did a groundbreaking ceremony, so those have been done and completed. The actual demolition has started already, so we've seen there have been questions about, areas being fenced in. Of course, they have to fence these areas in to, one, protect the equipment and to also protect citizens from coming in and, falling in holes or ditches and things like nature. So those parks will be closed during demolition phases. Now, when they get the demolition done and start doing other pre-construction, they open up certain areas of the park to the public. But right now, they're going to be closed off until they get most of the demolition done. And that's all the 3 parks that qualified for the park grant that the city received prior to me arriving here, based off of demographics and economics, that those areas got that grant funding. And I pause there for any question on that, Mr. Mayor.
I have none.
All right, Mr. Mayor, next we're gonna move into the ARPA update. We did a presentation in February, as you were in January, when we had to do our final numbers for the ARPA account, and we kind of appropriated money to different items. What I'm doing today is you have in front of you the itemized list of the remaining ARPA purchases we have to do. You will see some of those stay ongoing or pending, or in contract or in negotiation. So what I want to do today, and I'll do for the rest of the time, the first meeting each month, we'll keep on talking about this until that funding is spent fully. And I will discuss the big things during the meetings. So the boom mower has been ordered. The scanner contract is out for bid. Back to those parks, that grant had to be, it's been completed. When I say complete, I mean it's going to be added to the overall amount that we had to use the seed money for the 2.6 million. Strip machine is out for bid, and the Bailey Street Pavilion, which was destroyed during the storm, has been ordered. However, we did get some feedback today, I think, from, once again, thanks for the finance team working with FEMA. They're going to cover the pavilions, right? So all the pavilions that were destroyed during the storm will be covered by FEMA. So I'm gonna have to go back and look at that monies now, as far as the ARPA, and figure out how to move that stuff around. Because at this stage in the game, we technically can't move the money around for ARPA because it's been appropriated. But I'm gonna get with the city attorney and the city finance director and figure out how we navigate this now. Because we did purchase District 4 Park, District 1's park. I think we had another area that was destroyed, where we already made a purchase out of our general fund. So we got to go back and look at this and just figure out how to move the money around. I'm sure we can do it, but just want everybody to kind of know the items that have already kind of been purchased, ordered, or completed. The rest of those items you see where it says ongoing, as that gets completed, we'll update the commission. And I pause there for any questions on the ARPA update.
I'll go back to Commission, District 1. Did you have any questions?
Sir, if you don't mind, I hate to go backwards, but about the parks,
Okay.
can you just give the people on the north side an update about that north side park? I know it wasn't covered up under the grant, but can you just let them know that that we trying to move forward with that? Could you do that, please?
Okay. So, broader context, the city of West Cross does not have a city and park funding source. When they did the loss negotiations some years back, we gave that funding source to the county. The county manages park, what we call park and recreations. So in order for the city to maintain any type of park or service in the park, we have to get that money from the SPLOSH or from the general fund in some kind of way, or other means of funding. But it can be difficult because, the parks are fairly old as well as far as equipment. So each SPLOSH, when we do the SPLOSH, the commission has put in the SPLOSH money for the parks, and then we deviate that money throughout the months into each commissioner's account. So each commissioner has a certain amount of equal money in their account to spend on their parks. So with that being said, the grant is totally separate. That grant was put in based off economics, so and population, and like any other city, every other city, other cities qualify for that grant as well. So the lower economics, those areas receive that grant. So those went to District 1, 2, and 3. Each of those districts had a part that got identified to receive that grant, and those monies going there. The remaining of that money, like I said, is going to come out of the SPLOSH accounts, and that money commissioners can use to update their parks. In reference to Commissioner Roberts' park, the commissioners, each commissioner has the option to change out playground equipment, to do other aesthetics, water fountains, things like that. Some parks have basketball courts, things of those natures, to keep them updated. But once again, though, it is quite expensive. For Northside, I know Commissioner is changing out playground. I think Commissioner Felder's doing that in one of her parks. I think Commissioner Bennett's doing that as well. But those monies come out of Splash. So for the citizens to answer the question, those parks are being updated. But again, that's coming out of Splash, and it's not an unlimited source of money. You know, I can't remember what was programmed in the 2014 Splash, but in the upcoming Splash, the 2023, which I'll discuss here in a little bit, we did program $300,000 for park and recreations monies. Once again, split between all 5 districts. So, and I'll cover that in a little bit once I get to the spots update, which is next. So again, we are working our best to get those equipment. There is a back jam on getting equipment, so it's taking sometimes, like our pavilions, depending on the size and scope and scale of the pavilion order, it might take up to 6 months. It's just like we're still facing some of the challenges of the distribution list and the routes. I mean, just being honest with you. So it is coming. We do listen to the commissioners when they want to update the parts. We do our best to get stuff as fast as we can, but nothing is overnight. And like I said, and that funding is not unlimited. And we are trying to replace, decades old equipment with new equipment. And on average, just so everybody knows, a playground assembly can run as high as $12,000. I'm talking about a couple swings, a slide, and some other attachment. So it's not cheap, and then we're getting, it should last longer than the metal, but it is not cheap. So we cannot just order multiple things of that nature, but we can do what we can piece by piece over time. Ms. Roberts, did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
And District 2,
No, sir.
District 3.
Yes, I have a question regarding these park amenities and all the districts. You said that $300,000 will be split between all 5 districts when it comes to upgrading park amenities, and that's using ARPA funds? Is that correct?
No, no, it's the Splash 2023 Splash that we started collecting, and that was voted upon prior to me getting here with the previous commission. So they put in there, like I say, there's no funding source for park and recreation. It's either splashed or we finance it out the general fund. And I'm gonna cover it later on. We can't do that anymore either. We don't have the money to keep doing that. We all recognize how important parks is and recreation to our citizens. But without a funding source, a taxing source, which you do not have, we have to find other streams of revenue to bring in money for the parks.
So my question is, I've noticed just driving around the city, I've seen park amenities, upgrades in various parks outside of District 3. If you would, could you just please share with me what upgrades have been provided in the parks in District 3?
Well, Commissioner, I don't know. Right now, I've been focused on the only
Well, if you
upgrades
could,
I know.
I understand your focus,
Yeah.
thank you. If you would, could you just provide me a list, please?
I will.
So that I could relay that information to the citizens.
I will.
Because it's been asked of me multiple times.
Okay.
Thank you.
In your workbooks, Mr. Mayor, that's a list in there with the.
I see it.
Okay, great. Okay.
And let me just go into a statement that I think I need to make here. Each time you're doing these presentations, it may be good to just go ahead and combine, like you're talking about their funding. And we were talking about ARPA, we're talking about SPLOST. I think once we heard SPLOST 2023 and $300,000 is coming out and it's equally distributed, it's not each individual commissioner's job to find out what the other one has, although it is already listed in your booklets. So what I'm hearing here over and over again, and I know that when the commission first came in, and this is, for me, this is a whole new commission from the commission I had when I first came in the door. But each person knew how much they had for their particular part, and they could only spend X, Y, Z of that amount. There was an occasion when a pad was bought, and 3 got together and contributed to District 3 to get a splash pad in the midst of that. And so it was Districts 1, 2, and 5 came together to help 3 to get that splash pad. So they combined their funding with the idea of coming back together. And I said 1, 2, and 3. It was 2, 3, and 5 that came together. One didn't contribute, neither did 4. So what we started doing then is, if they want to communicate amongst themselves about the funding that they do have, and they choose to work together toward a part, that would be fine. But I know some of our others were never going to do that particular thing right there. But when it comes down to funding, I think that once we list off the SPLOST 2023 or the ARPA monies that are going to be distributed for a particular time, then maybe and it's already in the workbook, I already see it. You already highlighted and you open the floor for questioning. A good number of these questions can be asked to you prior to our meetings, even though I know some things, for instance, like the question that was just asked you, it's almost as if you would not know the answer to that question right off the top, because that's not the discussion that you're having in this meeting. But what we need to do, maybe if we're going to just talk about parks, just bring everything about parks. If we're going to talk about 1 or 2 or 3 things, talk about just that particular thing until such time that these commissioners have clarity, because it sounds like they stay in the clouds when it comes down to knowing what was said, what's in the book, what is to be done, what can't be done, what their citizens want to know. These questions pop up, and I understand they do, because commissioners are going to have questions that I'm not going to get because I don't have a park. All the parks belong to the citizens, but in reality, I have nothing like that in my area. So I understand their questions and their concerns, but I think for clarity's sake and for those who are viewing, they will be able to understand if we just streamline it just for that one thing. So if it's going to be ARPA, talk about ARPA. If it's going to be, because we talked about 2 or 3 things just then, and I hear the question came back after you'd already clarified, this comes out of SPLOST 2023. And so then it came back, is this ARPA? And it's not ARPA, because you just said it was 2023 SPLOST. And it's the same thing when it comes down to this, the other parts. I'm having one real big issue, and I've had it since I've been here, and that is this, that loss negotiation. We already made some decisions on that part, and now we got everybody flipping and changing midstream, and it's not city. And I'll pause with that thought, and I'll turn it back to you. But I was just making sure that we need to do something in that area where those persons who are hearing are actually clear. Okay. I think everybody's jotting and writing, and it's hard. You know, they're trying to keep up, and maybe they're losing it like some students do in the classroom. But we do need you to, you know, for clarity's sake.
Understood, Mr. Mayor, and once again, when we start the budget process again, we'll clearly find those funding accounts. I was just making it known how we pay for it. Now, I will go back and say something. As far as repairs, I try to stay away from their park accounts as much as I can, because I know they want to use that money to buy items as far as new equipment. So we have the money in the other means, general fund type stuff, to do repairs. A fence gets broken down, a basketball goal gets pulled down, something gets broke at the splash pad. You know, the splash pad breaks quite often. We do try to go out maybe out of the general maintenance, our public works account to fix those things right there, because that would eat up that park budget for the whole year pretty much. So we're all that, but point noted, Mr. Mayor, and we'll do a better job of explaining.
I think you did a great job explaining. I just think we're not hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Point of clarification.
Point of clarification, go for it.
Yes, it's interesting that you should say that, Mayor, about what steps needed to have been taken prior to this meeting so that our questions would be asked. And I've taken those steps. And the city manager stated that he would clarify in this meeting. And that was why I asked the question.
Understood.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, Mr. Mayor, what we could do, the workbooks, we need to put them online too. Try to get out to the commission so they can talk to the citizens verbatim, because they can be confusing. But, I mean, that account is actually posted daily too in our operational status update. But as you stated, maybe we got to make it clearer. We'll do that.
Yeah, one thing at a time for some of us, because it sounds like we get sidetracked by one thing that was stated. It's not that you haven't said it clearly. You said it very clearly. But I think what starts happening after we hear one thing, our minds, and I say I don't have that struggle, but our minds in general have a tendency to deviate from where we were discussing originally. So that's where we are.
With that note, Mr. Mayor, next we move into the SPLOST FY 2023 update. And this is on here because when this SPLOST was voted some years ago, of course, we did not account for inflation, operational changes, mission changes, requirement changes. So I got the list, and you have a copy of the list before you. We tried to put the list online right now for our citizens to see, but it is quite small, and I hate that in a little bit. But initially, that 2023 SPLOST, the first portion of that, is, of course, a little bit over 16 million. The first portion of that collection was to go right to the overpass, which has been done already, as far as overpass. The remaining these monies will be collected as what we call the penny tax each month, and that amounts to around between $350,000 and $380,000 a month. That monies is our goal to go down this list, which I'll show you shortly, and purchase those items that the commission voted on during that time frame. The reason I'm bringing it to you before you now, most of these commissioners were not there, I think, on the original vote. We cannot change this at this time, and it's by law. So we have to kind of use what was voted on then, moving forward. But what we're trying to do is kind of reorganize that list as far as prioritizations, and I'm going to let the directors kind of take the first stab at it, and for their directorates, just prioritize what they requested. Well, what the previous director requested some time ago, and then I'll kind of get with the city finance director and myself, and we'll do some city priorities, make sure they line up with the commission's priorities, and then we'll kind of go from there. And with that, let me. It's very hard to see for those in the public. You probably can't see this right now, but if you go on your phone later on, you can kind of pull it up. These are everything that was in that 2023 SPLOST that we put in. Yes, some of these items we did purchase by other means because they were emergencies at some point in time, so they will be removed. Well, can't say removed, but we will not use money towards those items. And like I said, I've asked the directors using the police department, because it's first, to kind of look at that list and reprioritize it on what Chief Cox feel is the first priority there. And then each director will do that, and I'll come back and do a master list, and then we will purchase these items based off of that list, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I know you have a list in front of you. This is so that the general public can see what we are trying to buy. Their tax dollars based off of our requirements and our needs. And I'll kind of talk about a few of these things since we have a little time here. We mentioned quite some time before about the age of our police car fleet. We've mentioned that a few times before. We're still about, I want to say, 14 cars that are decades old. We beat that a few times. That's the main thing with the police force. Public Works, definitely, of all of the directorates, their equipment is the oldest. Some of the equipment is 20 plus years old, constantly falling apart. So we're going to try to do our best over the next 5 years of collection, because this SPLOST will be a 5-year thing. So we'll try to do as much as we can, but once again, due to inflation and other things, of course, this 16.5 is probably actually $30 million now in real money today. So sidearm, some additional trucks, bucket head, zero train motors, all those things that got put in a while back, like I said. And even these costs that the citizens might see beside them, these costs were a few years ago, so of course they have rise too. So we definitely won't be able to purchase all of this over the next 5 years. We'll try to get close. Waste management, you all know our struggles with the pack truck. Everybody knows our struggles with keeping our pack trucks up. The mosquito truck, it's about 30 years old. You see the other items down there, the fire department. That fire engine has been done already, so that's one of the things we won't have to do again. Community improvement. One of the big things here is we put in for property demolition. So once again, so citizens know we don't have a funding source to knock down these buildings. It has to come from somewhere. So without the SPLOST, we could not knock down the abandoned property. So anytime someone says get rid of spots, I really hope they research what they're saying, because we don't have the capability to do a lot of things without it. So, but we did put the money in there. That 550, based on what we've been doing, at least my 2 years here, will probably knock down roughly about 75% of the remaining buildings that we have that need to be require demolition, and the rest, the other 25%. And I'm looking at maybe repurposing those. Maybe we can get somebody to come in and buy it and do it for us. So that goes back to some of the things commissions have kind of voiced about looking at how we make property available to abandoned properties available to other citizens. And then you see the engineer and the last part there, it says city parks improvement, $300,000. That's what I was discussing as far as coming out of this splosh, and that'll be distributed to each account over the next 5 years to hopefully cover the expenses of getting new items in the parks. Grand total of $16.7 million. Again, I'm going to reprioritize this list. Reprioritize this list for the commission to kind of see what I assess as the priorities for the cities based on feedback from the directors. And I pause if you have any question on SPOT's 2023 update.
I think we need to wait until you have it, when you're bringing it to us as it's going to be, before we start having discussions on it.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next, Mr. Mayor, we're moving to the residential inspection checklist. You have a copy of that on your desk. I don't think we didn't get a chance to put it up. Couldn't put it on the screen here for those citizens. We did put an initial copy up for citizens for feedback maybe 2 weeks ago after the community improvement director and the business integration information system director got together and had a meeting, the first meeting with some of our business owners here. It was a rough draft, but we did take some other guidance from other cities who've been doing this a little bit longer. And like I say, I'm sorry citizens can't see that. We'll make sure we go back and post it again for those that might have questions. But basically, it definitely facilitates a better understanding with the citizens. It's a checklist. I think it's over 120 items, but this way, we don't come in and inspect properties and citizens feel like we're making it up as we go along. They'll go right down that checklist. This will be actual records thing as well. And it has everything listed on there. And what's important, what's not important. And it also has the code section of where we're pulling information from, so citizens can come back and look at where did we get that from. So it's not like a thing that Mr. Rayford decided to come here today and said, you can't have a color blue because it's blue, So I appreciate the team doing this. It's been a struggle getting to this point, but we're at this point now. And this is going to go into effect April 1st. I'm going to give those other, for new inspections, those other individuals that's in current inspection, we're going to work with them because we don't want to, start them new again. We already been working with them. But everybody else for new inspection, you have this checklist. And like I say, this is a better way to just do business for the city of Waycross. Eventually, once all the software has been updated, this will go on the tablets, so it'll be digital. And then it'll be a digital record as well, and then we'll email a copy to the business owner residents, and everybody have a copy of it. They can work off that list that way moving forward. So, and I know, like I said, I know citizens can't see this, but you have a copy in front of you, Mr. Mayor, and commissions.
It's quite thick.
Yes. And we'll go back and make sure we put this online again. But citizens, if you go on our Facebook page and our website, you can just scroll down. It's already there, and you can see the initial effort at making this list for our citizens. And again, I forgot the last bullet. It does align with other cities who have been doing this before. We did cut and paste a few of their ideas. Some of the more modern cities who've been moving a little bit faster with us in this area. So, like I say, it's a tested document. It's not something we just kind of dreamed up. It's been tested in other cities. Got feedback from other cities, city managers and their citizens. And like I say, the team did sit down and work with some of the business owners to help add a few extra things that are Waycross specific to this checklist. And I apologize for any questions on that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. I'll look to each one of the commissioners. District 1.
Yes, sir. So is this pretty much concrete? I mean, go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. It is, Commissioner.
So once you comply with this, can another checklist come behind this?
No. The purpose of this was to be like I said, records management keeping. So this is it. Everything's on now. Let me take that back. It is a disclaimer on there in case somebody wants to keep a flying buffalo. I don't know. You know, certain things that we'll never be able to account for, and we have to make a look. But 99% of that, that's it. And as many of you've already stated, this is what y'all wanted, so we don't cause confusion with people trying to do homes, business owners. This will be that list. That same list will come back, so you'll get a copy of this. It'll be 2 lists when you're doing the checkoff, so that it'll come back if the next inspection and some things were not completed. But it'll be this same list. It won't be a new list. It'll be the same list they're working on.
Okay. I do have another question.
Yes.
So if you have lights and water, do you need a vacancy inspection?
So that's going to be on the next agenda for the commission to weigh in on. That would be a change in our charter. So I didn't put it on here because I wanted to get some of this record keeping done first. If the commission wants to do that, we're all for that now. I think with the, I don't know how that got to be a thing. I know that we want to kind of mimic what Georgia Power does. Also, when this is presented next meeting, we will put out, you still got to have a requirement of some type of inspection to be done. So even if the city was to pull out of that, one of the courses of action will be that the homeowner, business owner gets an inspection done by somebody, electrician, plumber, somebody to come in and get permits. So we can remove the city from this process, but it does not remove the requirement for the process itself, if that makes sense.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
District 2, do you have any questions
No,
concerning
sir.
this? And District 3?
I'll send my questions in an email.
Okay, and District 5?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I have some concerns. I know business is different from residential, and this is residential.
Correct.
And I'll see some amendments by this that references the international code and the national, and I know we have to go by those for safety reasons.
Correct.
But I have a problem. I see one thing here, just scanning through it briefly. Blown-in insulation must be marked in the attic by staple paper rulers for depth and R value. That's what, to me, that's not nothing that's a safety hazard. If a customer, as a residential home, wants this much thickness or that much thickness, so he would have to prove that I have this much thickness for safety reasons.
Commissioner,
I don't want to put you on the spot.
no,
I'm just saying that.
I just want to make sure we all understand.
Because I
this
built my home and I built my business, and I had some concerns
Yeah.
about those things as well.
Yeah, I think the main point of this is, first of all, getting a standard list for whatever it is we're looking at, because a lot of times we've been coming out there and I've allowed my people to come out there and talk off the top of the head. Even though they might be referencing the code book, if the citizens don't know what we're talking about, it does look a certain kind of way. That we are making standards as we go along. So the primary was to put everything on the list that all other cities follow, they've been following, so like I said, I looked at other cities, how they was doing it. That's the primary reason. And then to have a source document moving forward that we can agree upon each time, this is the checklist that I started with, this is what I finished with. Now, certain things in there, it will still be judgmental. Like I say, it'll be certain things that are...
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, certain things will be non-negotiable. We already stated that,
Okay.
as far as electricity, certain things.
Okay.
But it is just... It's to make us have a system where we not have a system before.
Okay.
So that's the main purpose of that.
Okay.
But once again, if you got some things you want to add, some of this is coming direct out those two references you made. Much like state, federal, we can't just omit a state or federal requirement. Again, we are here to work with citizens as best we can. But as you also know, everybody trying to save money and take shortcuts, and that's when stuff gets kind of dangerous for people to come in and rent homes and buy homes, and then we keep getting pulled into that scenario as well.
Okay.
So,
Okay. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Very good.
all right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next, we move into utilities fee increase. I'm going to read the word on this, Mr. Mayor, because we've talked about this a few times before. We did not come to a conclusion the last time, well, the previous 4 or 5 times we spoke. But it's very important that we go ahead and make a decision on this as we come up with the budget in July. So I'm asking that we, again, look at updating the water and sewer fees to current inflation operational requirement levels. And it's a lot to this. I'm going to try to keep it simple. But we talked about this a few times, so I'm going to jump over a couple of the slides. But I do want to make some points about a few things, Mr. Mayor, if I can. I think we all read this about infrastructure and our rising costs. Majority of our plumbing utilities was put in the ground in the 60s and 70s, so it is 60 years old in most cases. Now, granted, and I don't want to be held to this number, but right now, since my 2 years that I can really attest to, we probably only really addressed maybe 15% of this 60-year-old infrastructure. And that's, as Commissioner Felder mentioned, Coswell and a few other areas, we've actually went there and expanded the piping. But, we're talking about, the whole city, 11.8 square miles, utilities that need to be addressed. As you all know, the city did an assessment by the ESG then in 2020 about its capital improvement plan and its water waste systems, what we should be doing, how much it should cost. And again, it wasn't about like building capacity, it was about rehabbing already failing systems. And when they did that study, that 19-20 million was the first number. Of course, built on inflation, it's only been 5 years, but that number has doubled as far as rehabilitation and replacement recommended. And you see all the repairs we're talking about. One thing we're going to do this year with the budget, and we're going to live stream some of this prior to bringing it to the commission, is really talk about, we did keep track of everything we did this past year and what we ordered. How many times it was an emergency, how many times the pipe busted, when did we do the work, who does the work, when do the work. And I took that real fast too. So we do have a leak. Although we have somebody on call, and that person's on call, if I bring somebody out that weekend, that is a overtime charge. And I've expressed to the commission sometimes, it seems minute to a certain degree, but anytime something is done after business hours weekend, it's overtime. And that's really added up. It's always added up over the years. No fault to anybody. You got to get charged for the work is being conducted. But when I made a statement a few months ago about like recognizing, is it interruption in service? What is it doing? All our water runs back to us at some point. So when citizens complain like the water's running on a Sunday, I really need everybody to understand, how that cost is associated. And I'll cover that at the end here. And we all got to start understanding that, what is the priority? Is it fixing stuff, or patching stuff, or saving money and fixing stuff long term? And we got to start kind of understanding that. When they did this study, y'all remember y'all requested that we do. GMA did a study, and then we had, of course, our engineer firm did a study. This kind of combined to a degree. I didn't want to have multiple slides. We've already talked about revenue. Usage as far as commercials and residents. Of course, our commercial players use a lot more resources, and they pay a lot less based off on percentages. So we discussed this already. We've also talked to these large commercial and industry partners about this. They're fully aware. They should be paying more. They've never had any problem with it. It just was never brought up to them. Initially, when I proposed this to the commission, I discussed 3%, 5%, 7%, and 10%. And we went back and forth. At this time right now, I'm just saying we start baseline 3%. We got to do something, and we can't keep going back and forth on. We need to do something because I need to have this ready to go for the next budget. The 3% will not bring in much revenue, that's I stated before, but that's okay. But it will create better match money and seed money for larger programs and grants. A lot of times we don't have the matching money to qualify for some of these water, wastewater, and water and sewer grants. So this will give us that flexibility, even at 3%. 3% will be for both the commercial water and sewer water. However, with the commercial, and it says 7% here, but because, and I go back again, and hope the commission and citizens can appreciate this, it's inverted. It should be the other way. The residents, the commercial people should be paying less than the residents. So I will need to do a conversion to get it back set right. So it's like any other city where the commercial people use the most water and they pay for the most water. So then once we did that, I would then throw a 3% on top of that, so they'll be equal to the citizens and residents, equal in those numbers. So, and this again just saying, proposed residential water and sewer rates over time. We're talking each year, 75 cents, over 3 to 5 years if we kept going. once again, I'm being very low. A real study would say we need to be raising double-digit percent because we are way behind. I know everybody likes to compare us to Douglas. I'm going to use them as a reference again. They have the CPI model. Their water rates go up every year. Now, granted, they have other ways to fund stuff because they supply natural gas and all those things. But like other cities using CPI, let me take that back. It don't go up every year. It adjusts to inflation every year. So in some cases, inflation is down, it's going to go down. Make sure I make that clear. But for our citizens, we actually paying 75 cents, each year over time. Compound interest, we now have more seed money for grant money to do some of those bigger items. Once again, to put it in the big pot and fix all of our infrastructure challenges that we've had. And I'm gonna slow down, Mr. Mayor. Is everybody going too fast with this?
No, sir. Actually, you've done this before, so I think they should have it.
Okay.
The clarity of it seems that once we get ready to do our budget, we ought to be able to know what to do or not do.
Okay. Yeah. So once again, I'll be asking tonight for consensus to go ahead and if the commission body elected to go ahead and do the 3%, I'll have to go back and look at some numbers just to make sure show the commission what will come out of that because these numbers are old. And one more part of this, as we fix our meter problem and we get the meters working properly, they read what's actually being used. Of course, that's going to bring in more revenue as well. That's another part of this. A conclusion, capital improvements, they need it. Commercial rate needs to be adjusted. And I'm trying to start, the 3-year, 3% for the next 3 years. That's a true budget cycle of 3 years. If you look at the business aspects and business terms, and this is a business that we are running at the city. So we need some support on this from the commission, Mr. Mayor, because like I stated before, we can't keep going on and not doing anything. Again, we're talking about multiple years of not adjusting anything here in the city. And I'm going to jump right back to the next discussion because they are all tied together, if I can, Mr. Mayor. And this is tied to this. This is tied to the utilities update, but a water and sewer service resolution update. This is our tap installation process. You've heard me mention before at the last meeting about citizens paying $500, to move the tap sometimes when they're on different lines. And as I mentioned before, this is that's not the real number. That's a number that at some point was agreed upon on to not put the burden on the citizens. And, in a perfect world, we could keep that. But we're so far past that, of eating that cost that it is really crippling us. And let me go back. Oh, that kind of. Right now, when new customers come in here, the customer pays 75%, and Red Cross pays 25%. We are one of the only cities that does that. And this would be great if we had the revenue to back it, but we don't. And we eating this cost every single time, and it is getting really bad. And I don't know how to express that, but that way, once again, we have not adjusted the water and sewer tap fees since 2010. So you're talking 15 years for new water and sewer taps. And this cost does reflect, or these numbers do reflect, moving those old taps. And this is what it really costs. So when we say $500, it's not actually $500. For new or old or existing, city's paying this much. Where it might be $500. You can see the size of the meters and what that is, how much that costs with the labor and all those things. And that goes again. I'm not bad mouthing any of our partners, ESG, anybody. Everything's got a cost associated to it. And we probably could have done this 20 years ago. Definitely can't do it anymore. And we definitely cannot do that 25% anymore. So I'm asking the commission to remove that language, and that all new investors coming in for water taps and any other, I know people might be coming, and please do your research and look in other city. City of Red Cross is the only city that does this. Only city that does this. And everybody else is 100%. Because they can put the 100% in their construction costs. It's not like it's a lot of money for them. But whatever business practice we came up with, we started this. And like I say, I just want everybody to understand this is the real cost when it goes to these taps. And then we eat this cost every single time. So, and I'm bringing this up, Mr. Mayor, and I'm gonna tie all this in together for you and the citizens. First and foremost, we've got to bring in more revenue for our water and sewer, wastewater, stormwater, all things water, to start replacing all these things falling apart. Additionally, we cannot put it on, I understand we cannot just bombard our citizens overnight with all, with these will be increases in costs. That's why I'm saying do it over time. Small things over time. 25% less, 3% on the water and sewer, all these things will add up. It won't be a super burden on our citizens, but each little bit that we do will make it that much easier on them long term. And yes, 5 and 10 years from now, when you really will see the impact, you really will see the impact. But if we don't do this, it's going to get worse. Stuff is breaking at a much faster rate right now, and then I'm not sure what we're going to do. I have brought ideas to the commission, other ways to increase revenue, selling water, if that makes sense. We talked about dropping a meter to the Blackshear, Pierce County, not business district, but lose my words, industrial park. I think, and this is all pre-decision, only on discussion right now. They got 5 new businesses coming over there that they cannot provide water to because they cannot run water across their city. We made this request before, and I'm gonna go back a little bit, Mr. Mayor. And when I made that first request, I did not do a good enough job explaining that charge, and then since I came back again, we kind of explaining. I just want to say this one more time. If we did put that meter out there, it would be a system development charge that we'll be collecting. We won't have to annex anybody in or move services, police and fire to them, because I know everybody has seen that as because of what happened in the past. We definitely can't provide service over there. We can better take care of ourselves. So, but with a system charge, this monies could be used to system expansion. System expansion meaning you could expand into existing infrastructure. I hope everybody can understand what I'm saying when I say that. So it's not like we would take the charge, have to move and only do make new pipes, new expansion into like a new neighborhood. We could go into an old neighborhood and expand our system expansion. That's what that charge be used for. This would really help us out, in so many ways. And like I said, we're trying to get creative as we can to provide the commission a means to start funding a lot of these projects that, like I said, we don't, we can keep on hoping somebody will figure this out for us, but eventually it's going to get figured out on its own, and then stuff's going to go up by itself, and it's going to go up drastically at that point in time. I'm sure everybody's aware, looking at the news right now, other cities doing those 15 and 20% raises for their utility and their water. It's because they faced a challenge like we did and did nothing, and now they're in a significant event where they have to raise it up drastically. So this would be another addition that I would like to do with the commission giving me concession tonight. There's some things I do not know still as far as the gallons and all that. But because all this is connected, the first thing would be to increase the water rates. Because if we did it before then, they would have to get the oil rates. The second thing would be, like I said, to change the tap ratio. And then the third thing would be one of these initiatives of figuring out ways to better expand, fix, correct our failing infrastructure. And Mr. Mayor, I paused there. That was a lot. But like I said, we've talked about this a few times before, and we can talk about it again, need be, in another meeting. But I would like to go ahead and make a decision so we can start. Internally, I'm already starting my budget discussion with the directors. And like you see the thing, when we do the thing, we're going to divest and invest. So we're going to divest for some things that's not making money or does not make sense. This is one of those things that does not make sense. And then invest any savings to other places that we can. So what I'm asking today is that we go ahead, and the bare minimum will be the 3% increase in water and sewer across the board, with also the adjustment rate for the commercial water and sewer to adjust it, to invert it back the way it should be. And then, Mr. Mayor, once that's done, I would like to change that relationship with with our cost share agreement and go 100% from the contractor, new investor, all those things, and do that. And then hoping everybody can truly understand watching how much we really pay for these $500 tap moves when they were eating this cost and we can't do it anymore. So once again, I know it's a lot, but we have discussed this quite a few times before, and I just want to make sure I just present it again, Mr. Mayor.
All right. So the first thing is the taps, or no, you want to do the water rates at
Yes.
3%.
Yes.
Let's find out what the commission wants to do regarding that first. And I'm sure there'll be some work on paper that we'll later on have to either do a resolution of some sort to vote on. But just for consent purposes for you to move forward, to have that language put in a resolution, I'll check with District 1,
It's at 3%, yes, sir.
District 2,
Yes, sir.
District 3.
Will there be discussion after the vote?
Well, there'll be discussion when the resolution comes before us. So what we're doing now is just asking for the 3%, well, at least that's what he's asking us to do, the consent that he can move forward with writing a resolution, and then we can make a vote on that resolution, and discussion can be had at that time as well.
No.
Okay. And District 5.
I have a question first, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, go for it.
I'm fine with 3%. I'm fine with that. But the businesses, my opinion, I think they need to pay more. I think we need to take a look at the 6-inch pipe users and maybe go 5 to 7%. Now, mind you, people may say because of businesses, everybody will not be hit with that 7 to 5% because we don't have pipes that big. The majority of businesses have those 4 3-inch pipes. But those larger companies, that would equate to about $15 a month for 5% for somebody like Walmart or some large corporation. 7% would probably be more like $18 a month.
Okay, so let me pause y'all both before you both get into this again. No, I'm not having a discussion. I'm just trying to get consent right now on whether or not to move forward. That's why I'm asking the 3% on what he's asked for, and then we can come back to that 7% regarding the companies. But let's keep it one thing at a time. That's the same thing I just said a few moments ago. And it sounds like we hear me, but we're not hearing me. So he gave us a consent. Yes, I believe in the 3. We have 1 and 2 say they believe in the 3. 3 says no. So we got 3 that got consent for writing of a resolution. We can bring it to a vote tomorrow and have more discussion. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Next, Mr. Mayor, and we're almost done, Mr. Mayor.
Well, now you've got 3 things to me now. I've got 1 of them done. That's the water rate. The next thing was the taps.
The taps, yes.
So now I'm going to the District 1. And if you have a question, you can all ask questions. I don't have a problem with the questions. Discussion is another thing. I've heard this multiple times, so I know we're going to go back into it again. It's going to be a little back and forth again regarding this when the vote comes. So to keep it from being belabored tomorrow and the next time we come back to this again, well, I'm sure it'll come back again in budget time.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to do is make certain that we are clear one thing at a time. So this time it's taps, and I'm looking at District 1.
I do have a question. for the
Yes.
taps. So like the people that's having problems now, like the neighborhoods that's on one line. So, I mean, we just gonna assist them in a kind of way?
So
Like
Yes.
over there on Doris Street.
now,
anyway.
in some cases where it's not the fault of the citizen, and we've been trying this our best to that's why we're doing the $500. I'm just saying, Commissioner, we can't even do that anymore. But like I said, we'll try our best to work around that. But if you see the real cost, it's eating us alive. I feel, I know you do, I know every commission does, very bad about why these homes got built that way. I can't explain it. Can't explain it, but it's killing us right now. I don't know what the answer is to that. Like I said, we'll try our best to do like we've been doing, try to move the taps around when we can, but definitely moving forward with the cost share. This mainly focused at the new investors. I mean, that makes no sense what we've been doing, and I that makes no sense. So definitely that. So right now I'm just asking, like, pretty much the new customers come in with that. Like I said, that cost reflects the overall cost reflects that. It can be the same, but it can be separate. So we'll keep looking at that. Like I said, not to be a dead horse, but over time as other things get done, new software, mids get replaced, new technology, that'll get cleaned up too. But at the same time, we're talking years, but we got to do something to kickstart all that.
Okay, so let me pause you again. So the question is about taps, and the taps are, you either have a number that we're placing before the people, and the question that is being asked is there a no-fault tap if there's a case where the individuals do not have the responsibility as to why the tap is as it is, and the answer was we don't know what we will do with that. But as other things come along, so that's not answering that. Well, I'll just put it this way: we have put that out there. Either we're going to vote on it or we're going to consent to put it as a resolution or not. So my thing is, if you don't feel comfortable with it, just say no. Because right now, what I'm hearing is I'm not sure, and we can't have a consent on a not sure. So I say it again, District 1.
I go for the taps,
Okay.
but I just still want to make sure that the people that's dealing with the existing problem, that we know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Understood,
So,
Commissioner.
that's all I'm saying.
Understood.
District 2,
Yes, sir.
District 3.
I have a question.
Go right ahead.
Just based upon your statement, Mayor, about the uncertainty, because as you can see, there have been several questions with each of these recommendations from the city manager. My question is, why can this not be added to our April retreat that's coming up? Because we still have time to discuss this thoroughly, to get a clear understanding so that everyone can make a conscious effort to make a vote without having any remaining concerns about these changes and these increases. I mean, the new fiscal year doesn't start until July 1, and we've got time. So what is the rush? I'm just asking, could it be put on the April retreat on the agenda?
Okay. It can be, Commissioner.
That's right around the corner.
Yeah. It's right around the corner.
It's just a question, I'm just asking.
No, we can. But like I said, every day that goes by, it's getting extremely worse. I'm just saying that. So, and I'm not sure even come out we've been talking about this for a long time, my whole 2 years here. So I'll do whatever the commission want to do. I just want to make sure that everybody fully understands, the direction we're headed. If we don't start making the hard decision, so. But we'll add it to the retreat agenda.
Well, just before we do that, we're still looking at consent. Okay, let's do one thing at a time again. Because that's just a question she asked, not necessarily requiring us to make a move, because it'll take 3 of us to make that move. So we have 2 right now consenting for the tap. Now ask District 5 and see what his thoughts are.
Mayor, I wasn't finished.
Okay, and we'll come back to District 3 has a question or some more comments.
Question, follow-up question.
Okay. Okay, go right ahead. And while she's getting her question together, I'll go to 5 to find out what his thinking is, then she'll have her question together.
Well, I understand the urgency, Mr. Mayor. Move forward.
Okay. And we're back to District 3.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a follow-up question to the original question. If this is going to be put on the agenda for the April retreat, could you please invite ESG as well as Bill from GMA to give their expertise on these rate increases and the pros and cons?
We'll do, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Okay. Right now we have 3 consenting so you can do the writing of the resolution for this, and we'll still have a meeting on the retreat regarding the very topic, if the commission is okay with that. And I'll go to District 1,
Yes, sir.
District 2,
Yes, sir.
District 3.
And this is for what now? again?
This is for putting on the retreat,
Yes.
and District 5.
On the retreat or just
We're gonna have the resolution put before us,
tomorrow?
right? But then we can have a further discussion, because before the budget, you're gonna bring this back up again,
Okay,
okay?
okay. I'm good.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And this moves into our final
You have
discussion.
one more, you had the expansion of the, you wanna talk about expanding into,
Well,
or do you wanna wait and do that at retreat as well?
yeah, yeah, we need to wait, Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
Just-
very
yeah,
good.
yeah.
You go for it.
On the last thing, Mr. Mayor, and I think you maybe got the slides. It's the ethics update, and I'm gonna pass this over to the city attorney, but you have before you on a letter, certified letter that was sent to us today from appropriate authorities regarding this matter. And of course, that was, we all knew they were gonna recruit themselves from this event, and they made recommendations henceforth in that letter, and I pass it over to the city attorney.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, as you know, the ethics case, Clayton Nelson versus Katrina Felter, is pending in the municipal court by virtue of the referral from this body to the municipal court. And as a result of filing the case in the municipal court, both the municipal court judge, Judge Gibson, has recused himself from presiding over this case, and the solicitor or prosecutor, Mr. Joseph Johnson, likewise has recused himself. We have an order of recusal from Judge Gibson dated March the 10th, 2025, and he has referred the matter to the District 1 representative for the Council of Municipal Court Judges to assign another judge in his place. This District 1 representative is in Savannah, and the clerk of municipal court has been contacted by the judge's office, the District 1 representative, who has asked for a copy of the file. That request came in last week. And so once he receives the file, then he will make a determination as to who he's going to assign the case to in place of Judge Gibson. Meanwhile, Joseph Johnston, the solicitor, has the same conflict because they both are appointed by the City Commission. And since there is no structured position, a provision, I should say, for replacing him, he has written to the Attorney General's office in Atlanta and has asked that the Attorney General appoint someone to take his place. Apparently, some years ago, the Attorney General used to do this routinely for state court conflicts, Superior Court conflicts, and then some other organizations like the Prosecuting Attorneys Council was formed, which took over state court conflicts, but the Prosecuting Attorneys Council doesn't take over conflicts regarding municipal court. So Mr. Johnston has decided to write to the Attorney General, reminding them that this is how it used to be done in the past, where if the municipal court had a conflict, then the Attorney General would appoint someone. So this letter went out on March the 12th. And so now we're waiting for the Attorney General to respond, and hopefully we'll appoint someone in his place. So that's the update.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Mr. Mayor, do you have any questions on that at this time?
I do not. I think that he was clear.
Okay. At this time, Mr. Mayor, we have no privilege license renewals. We have no privilege license. We're gonna have one proposed ordinance, and then we're gonna have 4 proposed resolutions based off of the consent tonight. And then I will turn it over to the city attorney for any additional comments he might have.
No further comments.
And for the city report, Mr. Mayor, I think, make sure. For the city report, Mr. Mayor, I want to cover 2 items. As I mentioned earlier about the leak process for our citizens, I just want to go over the process real fast and how we address these leaks. First and foremost, I would ask the citizens, that's everybody, if you see a leak, please use the app. That is the fastest way to address it. It does geotag, and we'll get a pro person out there to figure it out. Trying to call, definitely on the weekend, you're gonna put extra hours on it by the time it gets to me. And even when it gets to me, I have to assess again, is it the interruption in services, and what's it actually causing? And do we need to bring, as I stated earlier, all the additional charges to get it fixed versus come in Monday? And because of the process, you know, the ESG was good enough to put this together for us, like today. So it's not as maybe as it should be, but it gets directly to the point. So and I want to address it. So when people see leaks, of course you can call, but once again, I'm asking everybody to use the app. The app goes right to on-call personnel, and that's the fastest way to do it again. Once they come identify the leak, they're gonna put this tag here. You know, so I ask citizens to see the tag there. It means we know about the leak. Not saying don't keep calling, but please just kind of look and see if that tag is available. This is probably a bad spot right here, but this leak ain't that big. The bigger leaks, the sound will be a little bit higher so you can see it. I just let everybody know on weekends that we have identified the leak and we're working on it. I say that because there are a lot of things that must happen, you know, so in most cases we cannot just come cut the water off because it might cause an interruption in service for other people. So you might see the water running, that means that it's running through the system. So if I cut it off at the meter or the starting point, that means other folks that might be getting water right now will not get water, and we might create a bigger problem. In other cases, yes, somebody did something wrong and it's a busted water, and we can kind of try to cut it off because no interruption in service. But I want to make sure that's straight. But when that happens, we have to come in and put locators in, and that can take up to 72 hours. That's why I say you might see a leak going after it's been called in or a few days. That means we're trying to get locators because if it leaks in the ground, we have to come in there, and I'm gonna get to that, open the ground. We can't just go in there and start digging. Gotta get locators, gotta look at maps, you gotta see what's in there first so we can straight go into the ground and kind of open it up from there versus just tear everything up. Once the locators are complete, then the team comes out there, they mark the area, and they start working on the problem. And they must dig to locate the leak. So all this process here, for citizens not aware, that could be a few days, or being open and honest, a few months, depending on the nature of the leak. So I don't want anybody to think that we are just getting out here and not addressing the leak, but there is a process. It's a process. And this goes back again to understanding the process, because I gotta save money in some kind of way. It's all the same conversation. So if I'm not gonna raise the revenue, then I gotta look at all these areas. So maybe on that weekend, I don't send anybody out if it's not interruption services, because I don't want to pay the overtime. So, but there's a process. Make sure everybody understands that. And then once everything's done, we'll clean the area up and all that. I want to say that, Mr. Mayor, because I think we got a problem of just expectation management with some of these areas. And like I say, it goes back to the first slide. We're talking 60-year-old plumbing. So it costs a lot of money. So we got to methodically do our best to save money each and every time we can right now. So I hated that people get frustrated about seeing the water run. But again, if services, like I say, depending on if they're interrupted, not interrupted, might decide on the decision to do something or not do something. And even then, once we come in with the locators and do the mapping, it might take 2 or 3 days just to see what the line's running before we even get in the ground to check the leak. And I apologize if any questions, Mr. Mayor.
District, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. District 1?
No, sir.
District 2?
No, sir.
District 3?
No.
And District 5?
No, sir.
Okay.
Very good.
And last thing, Mr. Mayor, from my report, we posted this online already, but I want to go ahead and put it out during the meeting. This is our special collection month, April and October. So the dumpsters will be out in the parks. This is the schedule. Again, to be online. The dumpsters will be out there. We're asking citizens to contact us now if you have problems moving items to those dumpsters. We can get some volunteers. The city cannot do it for you, but we can coordinate with volunteers, especially our more elderly or seasoned citizens, to get stuff to those dumpsters. I'm also asking, if the dumpster is packed, it's going to be out there for 5 days. Please do not place things around the dumpster or on the side of the dumpster, because it might cause issues when they're trying to pick the dumpster up. So this way, they're gonna empty it every day. Every day they'll come back and empty it. Same time, same back channel, all those things. So now, if for some reason you don't get an opportunity to get it done in your park, and you have the means to go to another park, I have no problem with that as well. You know, as long as you're a citizen of Waycross. And that's pretty much it, Mr. Mayor. That's the schedule.
Okay.
And I'm just asking everybody kind of to see it now, plan and prep for it. You can't see it right here, but on the post, well, you see some of that as far as the hires items that can't be put into there. You see those items. So just be mindful of that, the paint, the grease, all those things that's harmful to the environment. And this go around right now is not for the vegetation. In
Okay.
October, we do vegetation. This is for the boat items.
Commissioner Bennett had a statement she wanted to
Yes.
make toward you.
Well, it's like thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, Elizabeth Park, what about the construction?
Yeah, so
Can we
it's gonna be moved.
it?
Yeah.
Or are you still gonna take it there?
We're still gonna take it there.
Okay.
It might not be in the same location, but it's going. We don't want to deviate too far from what the norm is over the last 2 years.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And Ms. Mayor, that concludes my city report.
I
Mr.
know
Mayor.
that we were asked to have an executive session tonight,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
and before we do that, I'm going to allow for a last call with District 1 through 5. District 1?
I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and I wish everyone have a good night.
And District 2?
I'll save it for tomorrow.
Okay. District 3?
No comment.
And District 5?
None, sir.
And I want to extend my deepest sympathy and condolences to the Hopkins family. And I want to thank Mark for coming and speaking to us, Mr. Marvin and Hart. Thank you all for being here. And I want you to understand something. In these days, and it's a tough time, I know it's very tough, I think a lot of our hearts are just trying to even just understand what just took place. But at the same time, where our era is, we want you to forgive us. But we ask you to pray for us, because we're going to be doing a good number of things trying to make sure that we remember Miss Diane Hopkins. She's done a whole lot for us for over 20 years. And we want to say thank you for allowing her and lending her to us during this time frame. But we also say to you, we are looking at everything we're doing. Sometimes we move very fast and we don't think as quickly as we should think. But we do want to say to you, we thank you for being here tonight, and also for hopefully accepting what we would consider a olive branch to you, to say thank you for allowing this moment in time. We know we can't make up for what we've done to you, because once I could hear it in your voice and I could see it in your eyes. But we do want you to know that we do care and we are concerned. And I look at the entire city. We are right now going through something that maybe we've never anticipated that we'd ever go through before in our lives. I don't know any other mayor who's gone through what I've gone through in these last few years. I don't know one. I've had several different commissioners. I've had a whole new system of people from top to bottom. And even in the process, I've lost 2 commissioners within 9 months of each other. No one else can feel what I feel right here. No one else can even understand what I feel right here. But throughout the whole time that we've been losing people, I've lost family members just like you're losing. And I want to call her Dr. Hopkins, because I keep doing that to her when she was here. It is something to have someone you love pass away. But at the same time, the idea of honoring those people that have given themselves to us, we need to continue to honor them. And in her memory, we do have some other things that we will be doing. And I think they did something at the last minute, which was to say, while we're doing this park, let's do this. And I understand when statements are made, sometimes you can't take words back. You cannot take words back. I look at people, sometimes they say some of the most god-awful stuff to people, and they never think about the word of God. Galatians 6:9 says, whatsoever you sow, that shall you also reap. Whatever you put out is coming back. And it's a cycle and a circle that no one can erase. But I always say, be very mindful of the words you say about anyone, because we don't know them like we think we know them. We know something about them, and that's only the part. We perceive ourselves through our own perceptions. We don't know persons for persons. We know them for what they present, and sometimes how we feel. But I could feel your heart tonight, and I say to you, be encouraged, and know, family, that we are with you, and you will be hearing from us more. And I'm going to do better. We're keeping in touch. The only number I have is her number. If you go to her phone, I've been sending messages to her phone. I'm probably sure you probably read some of them. But I will say to you, God is with you. He's going to cover you. He's going to keep you in this time. And I don't care what anybody else says to you. We appreciate what she has done, and we appreciate what you've done to allow her to be here with us. And if anything else I can do, you got my number. If you don't have it, you get it before you leave tonight, okay? Because I want to talk to you anyway. And she was born on the same day as my mama, and she and I had conversations often about various things. And they have similar temperaments. So sometimes they will say things that nobody else can say. And they can do things nobody else would do. And people will sometimes misunderstand them. But I say to you, thank you. And again, thank you. And with that, I entertain a motion for executive session regarding property.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we enter into executive session discussing property.
We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion from our Commissioner Felder and a second from our Commissioner Nelson. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. We're going into executive session.